Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. So we're just going to do another velocity banking review for today, but this time I kind of want to talk about the challenges of teaching it and some of the things that were kind of a surprise to me. Like some people have told me that on YouTube, and again, these aren't my words, these are other people's words, that I'm actually the best velocity banking teacher on YouTube. And so sometimes people ask me to teach it in real life. And what I've noticed is people actually tell me like within relatively quickly, like they get the strategy, right? They're like, wow, I really get it. And something surprising really happens, which is they actually stop themselves from wanting to learn more. Like they get the strategy and then they stop themselves from wanting to learn more, and then they give me a blank face, but I clearly see that they get it, and that's kind of like weird to me, right? Like, if someone told you like, "Hey, here's this incredibly easy way to lose weight that requires almost little to no effort and no exercise," I'd be like on that like yesterday, you know what I mean? Like, "Oh my goodness, there's an easy way to lose weight without any exercise and I can eat healthy and it's pretty good food." And, you know, if somebody told me that, I'd be like, sign me up. You know what I mean? I want to learn more. But I found that when it comes to doing these velocity banking presentations and stuff, that a lot of people actually stop themselves and they actually don't want to pay off their debts quickly. And I've had to ask ChatGPT why this is, and I think a lot of it is from psychological and emotional factors. It's like I think the pain figuring this out and then having struggled with debt for many many years is too much for most people. So like most people, I know this is kind of cliche, want to stay in the matrix, if that makes sense. So remember that guy Cypher from the Matrix where he's like, I want to stay in the matrix. A lot of people are like that, to my surprise. In fact, let's go ahead and ask ChatGPT this. Why is it that when I explain velocity banking to an audience and I can clearly see that they understand, they actually stop themselves from wanting to learn more, right? So, um, why is this? So let's go ahead and read this out loud.
When you explain velocity banking and see your audience understand it, but then stop themselves from wanting to learn more, it could be due to a mix of emotional and psychological barriers. Here's why this might happen. Hammer 1. Fear of change. Even when people understand the concept, the idea of radically changing their financial habits can feel overwhelming. Velocity banking challenges traditional views of debt management, and making such a shift might seem risky or uncomfortable. Hammer 2. Overwhelm. The strategy often involves new tools like HELOCs and methods, cash flow management, that people might not feel equipped to handle. The perceived complexity can make them hesitate. NAR 3. Cognitive dissonance. Realizing that they've been handling debt suboptimally for years can create internal conflict. Instead of confronting this, they might shut down or rationalize sticking with their current approach. 4. Skepticism. While they understand the concept, they might wonder if it's too good to be true. Trust issues or lack of confidence in their ability to execute the strategy can make them pull back. R5. Social conditioning. Many people are taught to view debt repayment in a specific way, e.g., fixed monthly payments over decades. Challenging this norm can feel like going against what they've always believed to be safe. 6. Fear of failure. They might worry about making mistakes, miscalculating, or mismanaging the system. This fear can paralyze their willingness to dive deeper. 7. Procrastination and inertia. They may think, this sounds great, but I'll get to it later. In reality, they might never get around to it because of everyday distractions or deeper avoidance tendencies. 8. Reluctance to take responsibility. Velocity banking requires active financial management, which can be intimidating. Some people prefer the passive comfort of sticking to a traditional automated repayment system. To counter this, you might emphasize success stories to build trust and inspiration. Use simple examples to break down perceived complexity. Address common fears up front and normalize their hesitations. Show how small first steps, like understanding their cash flow, can lead to big changes. Share how you overcame similar doubts or challenges. How does this match your experiences?
Wow, that is an amazing explanation, especially the cognitive dissonance part. Like realizing you could have done things way better 10 years ago and had your mortgage paid off 10 years ago, I think is a very, um, I don't know what kind of feeling you'd even get because I paid mine off in under 3 years, right? So I'm just like, oh, a normal everyday thing. But I kind of understand that if you could have realized, like, hey, this didn't have to be such a struggle, then you kind of realize, like, you're part of the reason why the banks have the tallest buildings in North America. You know what I mean? Like they literally have the tallest buildings in North America without an actual product. And like Apple, like they produce TV shows, they create iPads, iPhones, but what does a bank produce? They just produce paper. What do they have? You know, a paper producing machine magically gives people the tallest buildings in the world, right? So the cognitive dissonance is really powerful. And again, social conditioning is a very powerful one too. A lot of times I see a fear of failure in the comments, like, what if this happens and what if that happens? And again, there's many factors, but it's kind of funny how, like, the way that I explain it should be relatively easy, right? Like, oh, it's just money into a line of credit, right? And people have all these various triggers and factors that actually will prevent them from doing it, which and prevent them from learning more, right? That's the crazy thing. I've met people where it's like, yeah, like they actually have the tools, the salary, the home equity to get the tools, and they stop themselves. It is crazy, right? So that's the shocking thing to me. But hey, I know there's an audience out there for this material because I mean, I just look at the YouTube analytics and lots of people are watching 2,700 watch hours. If we take a look at the total watch time for the total of this channel, 48,000 watch hours for the lifetime of this channel. This channel's only like about a year old, or a little bit more than a year old, right? And so, yeah, 48,000 watch hours. So again, that's why I just keep creating the videos. Got to reach out to the audience. It's like a form of financial evangelism. So, you know, if people stop themselves from getting their most optimal results, it's like it's crazy that people will do that, right? It's like someone tells you you can lose weight without any effort. Why wouldn't you do it, right? It's crazy how that is. All right. So we're just going to go over a very high income scenario, right? With 10 credit cards, two auto loans, a student loan, and a mortgage. So it's kind of similar to the ones that we've done before. I always love the high income scenarios and high debt because, believe it or not, these are the bank's prime targets. Banks don't like poor people. I don't know if you knew this or not, but 90% of the people in this country can't even get a mortgage. So the people who can get a mortgage is only 10% of the population. And you know what's the crazy part? Let's just do 2024 home buyer regret. What percentage, right? Just type that in Google and it says 82%. I've seen as high as 90, right? I've seen as high as 90, but 82%, 90%, 90%, right? 80. So it's in the high 80s and 90s. Okay. So, yeah, right. So a very small percentage of people fit the bank's criteria of being able to get a mortgage, right? Because they want higher income people. And then what they do is take advantage that you don't know how to manage your money, right? This bank's prime target client. Like it's not poor people, right? Like poor people, they'll give you a $500 credit card, tell you to buzz off. But if you're higher income, then this is the situation they want you in, where they have like all these credit cards, a couple auto loans, student loan, mortgage, right? And what they want you to do is something called income segregation. They want you to get your paycheck into your into your checking account, split your money into many different ways, different, like your basically making minimum payments on everything. And then because you're making minimum payments on everything, that's how they accrue interest, right? That's how they make their profit. And so what we're going to do is put all of our money into one place and not segregate our income, okay? And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to copy most of the or all of these expenses, and we're going to re-engineer them so that we can maximize something called cash flow, which is income minus expenses, right? Looks very similar to savings, but we're not going to have any savings, right? It's very important. Like you take a look at my checking account, right? This is how it looks like. Beginning balance is zero, ending balance is zero, right? Because we're dumping all of our money into a line of credit. And so, just to start off, uh, what the strategy is, it's called velocity banking. And all velocity banking, if you really want to deconstruct it, is dumping all of your money into debt with the help of a line of credit. Okay, so what's a line of credit? All it is a financial tool where you could borrow money, pay it back, and then use it over and over again. So if I take a look here, this is my home equity line of credit. $280,000 limit. And so I could actually literally go to the bank's website, click a button, and then $280,000 can be dropped into my bank account at an 8% interest rate. Technically 267 at this point when I took the screenshot, right? So you have it's like a huge credit card based on the value of your home minus any debts that you have, right? And so banks will lend that to. But here's the most important part, okay? In order for you to get a line of credit, they're not going to lend it to you here, right? Because banks don't lend money to people who need it. Because if you're a person who needs money, you're considered to be a high risk, and banks like low risk lending. Okay. And so my point is this: if you had known this strategy, you would never even be here, right? And I think that's where a lot of the cognitive dissonance comes from, where it's like, holy, I don't even know what word to say after that, but I'll say holy balls. Um, I can't believe like I was struggling with debt when I didn't have to, and then you almost prevent yourself from getting to the next level of success because hey, maybe you screwed up today. That's okay. But as long as we correct ourselves and get into the right path, then we can get to the next step of success, right? And I know that for a lot of people, financial success is important because again that's the difference between you being able to sleep and not sleep at night. And I always make like a I don't want to say a joke, but it's like, you know, the difference between poor people problems and rich people problems is that poor people problems you can't sleep at night. Like you literally think like you're literally nervous that you can't make it next day and you're going to get evicted or you know you're going to get foreclosed on because you have cash flow problems, right? And so what we're going to do is just assume that we have access to a huge line of credit, $150,000. Although again, this is kind of like the caveat where this is an unrealistic part. People who have lines of credit, this is my experience, who get them, what they do is they just treat them like another credit card to max them out. And what we're going to do is we're going to use it as our what we call our main operating account. Okay. And I actually did a live stream on this where we had 22 debts. Someone sent their financial spreadsheet in, and this person had a line of credit, like I think like it was like $22,000 limit, and it was maxed at 22,000. It was like some limit that was kind of in the 18 to $20,000 range, and it was maxed out. And that's what happens when we segregate our income. We just treat it like another credit card rather than a main operating account. So, the difference between an average American and velocity banker is that the average American uses their checking account as their main operating account, and then the velocity banker uses their line of credit as their main operating account. And we do this, okay, by making sure we don't have any savings. And if you think about it, our savings account is our new I'm sorry, our line of credit is also our new savings account. If we need it for emergencies, we just take it from the line of credit, okay? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to move credit cards, the credit cards into the line of credit, all these 10 credit cards, and we're going to increase something called our cash flow. So this is $142,000 of credit card debt. I'm going to move all of it here, 142,000, right? And guess what happens just by doing a debt transfer? Okay. All these payments just simply go to zero. And then look at this. We turned a penny into $4,489.17. Like we literally did it in one instance without making more money. And this is like shocking to people. Like, what? Like, you think that the credit cards are like they're like, oh my goodness, I'm so worried about because there's a high interest. But if you just transfer them into a line of credit, you could just like multiply your, what is this, like a $40,000 cash flow um, multiplier, right? Like is it 40,000%? I don't even know. But we literally turned a penny into $4,489.17 to cash flow by making sure that we don't have any savings, right? So if we take a look here, again, no savings. I start my balance at zero. I get paid with whatever, maybe a tenant pays me. May I get some income from YouTube? If you have a W-2 job, make sure that W-2 job, when you get paid, it goes directly into the line of credit, and then your ending balance should be zero, right? Now, I'm not giving you advice. I'm saying this is what I do. Okay, I'm not giving you advice. We never want to give financial advice, especially if you're not a I'm not a financial advisor. I just play one on you. Well, I don't even play one on YouTube. I'm just a guy who's a little bit nutty and just does spreadsheet all day, so I can make some of that sweet, sweet YouTube money. In fact, if you're curious about how much money I made, $4,400 in the course of about 1.5 years. So if we take a look on average, how much of money I've been making on YouTube. So let's take a look here at the month of October. Again, if you're just curious, um, $406 just on this channel of me doing spreadsheets. And so it's like, whoa, where do we get this money, right? And so, yeah, this was October, and I should get paid in November. No, actually, this is going to be October, so I'm going to get paid this much in November. I think. Or maybe I already did. I don't even know because I don't even need the money. That's the crazy part, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. And so here's the last step of this. We're going to put our entire paycheck into the line of credit. And then whenever we need to pay for expenses like the 2 auto loans, the student loan, the mortgage, the food, gas, insurance, all that other good stuff, we take it out of the line of credit. Okay. And then after every single month, the balance of the line of credit is going to go down by $4,000, right? But look where we went. We went from 1 penny to $4,489. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. This here is the poor person problem. You can't sleep at night, right? This here is a rich person problem where it's like, all right, well, if I have an extra $100 emergency, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like extra $1,000 emergency, I'm good. So we can sleep at night even if we have what we call rich people problems. So let's go ahead and do this. And so we're going to calculate the next month's balance. Previous month's balance, interest minus what we call our cash flow, 4489.17, right? So after every single month, the balance is going to go down by cash flow, but we also have to add some interest because we do have to pay for using the bank's money to help us manage our cash flow. But so I'm going to do 0.08, that's the interest rate, and then we divide by 12. Again, I've had different lines of credit. I've had 10% lines of credit. I've had 9. I've had 8, right? So I've had several home equity lines of credit. Currently, my interest rate is at an 8, although I heard back in the day the interest rate used to be much lower, but no worries there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and copy and paste all of this. And we're going to copy and paste. All right, so copy and paste, copy and paste. And we see that in 36 months, whoa, that was pretty easy, right? 36 months, this is all paid off. All paid off. And you know what the crazy part is? Okay, so you see how it took 36 months to pay it off? What if we had a $2,000 emergency, right? $2,000 emergency. So that'll be like, let me do this, equals 142 plus 2,000. Okay, wow, we're $250 short. So it would just be one more month if we had a $2,000 emergency. That's crazy, right? All right. So now let's go ahead and do this. That'll be 36. Was it 35 or 36 months? 36 months where everything is paid off. And then that'll be 142K, right? So I'll be like, I fear, credit card debt. Well, the bank's not going to lend you all these credit cards unless you're making significant amount of income, but they're going to hope that you are the average American who segregates their income. Whereas Velocity Bank, we're just dumping all our money into debt, right? And then now what we have is these auto loans, the student loan, and the mortgage. So let's figure out what the current balance of these are. And luckily, we have these loan calculators to figure that out here. So this is like 36, 36, 36, 36. So what we're going to do here is put in the current month, figure out what these balances are, And we also have something called the cash flow index. So think of this as a ranking system of what debts to pay off. So usually the general rule of thumb is anything under 50 we want to pay off because we get a significant amount of cash flow for moving these debts into the line of credit. So if I see these 20s, I'm like, ooh, that's sweet. So if I have enough room in my line of credit, I'm gonna move my debt up to there. So what we're gonna do is move about 16 grand. And let me go ahead and sum this up, G2 plus G3. So about 16 grand into that line of credit. And I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this. No, not this one. Nope, not this one. All right, so this one right here. So I'm going to move 16 grand into that line of credit, right? So hopefully you can see that. It might be a little small. 16315.14. So we're moving the auto loan debts, these two auto loan debts into the line of credit, and guess what happens here? 0, 0, bam, right? And now our cash flow is over $5,000. Mind blowing, right? Cash flow is over $5,000. Look how easy that was. And then so now what I'm going to do is copy and paste here. Okay, copy and paste here. And now let's replace this with our new cash flow, 5233.78. Okay. Say what? It only took us 2 more months to pay off those two auto loans? Whoa, that's mind blown, right? My mind is blown. 2 months to pay an auto loan. Okay. So I'm going to do this. And so now this is going to be 39 months, right? 39 months to pay it off. And so 39 months to pay off, let's see, 142 plus 23 plus 13, that's 178K. Wow, that was so easy. That was so easy. All right. And then now let's tackle on the student loan and the mortgage. And so let me just kind of go back down here and oh, did I? Okay, let me move this tab here. So this is going to be 39 months. So obviously these have been paid off, 0, 0, and then 39, 39, right? And so now we got to figure out which debt to pay off. So here we have a 29 grand student loan. Cash flow index is 60, 65. So this is the lowest number. Usually they say anything under 50 you want to pay off, but because the balance is low, relatively low, we got a lot of cash flow. I think we can safely move this into the line of credit. So let's go ahead and do that. And let me just kind of go here. So I'm just going to move this here. And then this is going to be plus 29,716.23. Okay, so now what happens to our student loan? Well, we get this extra $454 in cash flow back, and so now this is zero. Oh my goodness, now our cash flow is increased by the $400, so our new cash flow is 5,687. So let's go ahead and do that. Control V. Okay, and now let's go ahead and do this. Whoa, did I screw up here? Okay, no, I did it. All right, so let me just replace this one. 5687.9797. All right, let's go ahead and do that. And then let's take a look here as how long it takes us to pay off that student loan. Whoa, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 months. That was so easy. My mind was blown, right? All right, so now 45 months, okay, 45 months we paid off. What's 178 plus 40? 218K. 218K. So now all we have is the mortgage left, $300,000 to 3%. And so let's just, this was 45 months, right? How easy was that? So 45. Okay. So now let's just kind of do a quick comparison, okay? So this is what I want to show you is that it took us 45 months to pay off about, let's say 300 minus 275, about 25K. It's like 25K of debt, right? With the mortgage. Now, what we're going to do is something called chunking, where we take a small amount of that mortgage and put it into a line of credit. And this is very important to know that we do this last because you see this cash flow index number, how it's very high. All that means is that if we pay this $275,000 of debt and move it into the line of credit, look how little cash flow we get. Okay, especially if we have a low interest rate and we're moving that low interest rate to high interest rate debt, the most important part we have to understand is we maximize that cash flow. And the whole point of using the line of credit, rather than directly overpaying is to make it easy so that we don't segregate our income and we use our entire cash flow to pay it off. Just make it easy, right? Easy has a lot of value. There's a reason why most people can't pay off a 30-year mortgage in 30 years because they run into cash flow issues because when we directly overpay loans, I mean, let's say like we've overpaid all of our loans here directly with cash. Can we ever get that money back? No, much harder. And then if we use credit cards as backup, then we segregated our income. And we're trying to prevent income segregation. Don't make life hard on yourself. Use a line of credit if you want, right? I like to use a line of credit just because it makes it so much easier to manage my cash flow. So this is why even if I have an 8% interest rate, on the line of credit, as long as my cash flow is maximized, that effect of the line, that interest rate jump is pretty much not even going to be there, or it's going to be very minimal. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. And so let's say I move $25,000 into my line of credit. Okay, so this would be right here, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. And so let's move 25 grand in, wait, actually, is it this one? No, it's this one. My bad. I'm getting confused here. So let's assume that we move 25 grand into the line of credit, 000. Okay. How long is it going to take me to pay off that 25 grand? So it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 months, right? And we haven't even included the monthly mortgage payment because the mortgage payment is still there. Okay. So it took us about literally 4 months to pay off 25 grand, right? So let's write that down. Oopsie, where am I going? So 4 months to pay off 25 grand when we use what we call this chunking method. And look how little interest we paid for the use of that line of credit. And because we chunked it, because we took away most of the principal, there is some interest savings there, but you'll realize like it's not like dramatic from like let's say paying off directly with your cash, right? Cash is 0% interest, so it is effective. What I'm saying is that if you use a line of credit, you can make it much easier to manage your cash flow. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Let's do another 25K chunk. Okay, how long is it going to take us? 1, 2, 3. Oh, only 3 months. 1, 2, 3, right? Or wait a minute. I'm in the wrong one. Oh, my bad. Okay, so let's just try it again. My bad. So another 25K. Okay, so we did 25K here. Now we do another 25K chunk. Took us another 4 months. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we just rinse and repeat over and over again. See? Hold on. Let me scroll down. Um, let me scroll down. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Sometimes it'll be 4 months, 5 months, depending on the balances of the line of credit. And then as you can see here, whoopsie, I screwed up. As you can see here, we've already paid off 75 grand. Actually, what was the first chunk? Was it, no, it was, this is the auto loan. So first chunk is right here. So 1, 2 chunks, 3 chunks, right? So 3 chunks we paid off in about, so what's 58 minus 45, right? 58 minus 45. A little bit more than a year, we paid off 75K, approximately. We're just doing Callaway math, right? So if we take a look here, 45 months, how much is 45 months, right? 45 months is actually 3.75 years. And in about 1 year and 1 month, approximately, we paid off 75K. No biggie, right? Look how easy that was, okay? And so I'm going to open up a velocity banking calculator and just it's going to spit out a number, and then we're just going to use that number to easily calculate the debt payoff when we do chunking. And some people are like, what's the optimal chunk? It's actually a low amount, believe it or not. So we used to like I'm sorry, we like to use maybe an amount similar that's low enough, like kind of like similar to your paycheck, that will move a significant amount of the principal balance, but you make it easy for you to put your entire paycheck into the line of credit. And that's why, as a general rule of thumb, you just move what's similar to your paycheck. And so here's your paycheck. Let me go right here. Is about $9,400. Maybe we could use 9,500 or 10,000. It's going to make a minimal difference. Okay. So let me go ahead and open up that velocity banking calculator. Give me one moment. All right, take a look at this. So we got this cool velocity banking calculator where all we got to do is type in the numbers and spits out a payoff date and how much interest we saved, right? So it's the current balance, interest rate, just type in the chunk, income expenses. And again, most people get too obsessed with the chunking thing, but the most important thing is your cash flow, right? And as I said before, we have to pay off the mortgage last because it provides the least amount of bang for our buck for paying off that loan. Okay, amortized loans are very deceptive. I probably need to make a video about this, but a lot of times, one of the things that people say on the internet is, well, lines of credit are always better than loans. So even if it's a 3% loan, you want to replace it with a line of credit. Not true, right? Let me just show you a quick comparison. So if I put this $275,000 in lines of credit, I pay $45,000 of interest, right? Now, if my interest rate increases, this increases dramatically. So for example, let's say I got like the maximum home equity line of credit, 18%. Okay. Take a look at this. Yes, we pay it off quicker, 5.1 years, but we actually pay an additional $26,000 compared to the 30-year schedule. Now think of this from the bank's point of view, right? The reason why the bank splits it up into 30 years is because the bank is very patient and they want all that interest. But if you're telling the bank, hey, instead of 30 years, I'll pay you 5.1 years and I'll pay you 26 grand extra than what you thought you would get, I'll be like, they would be celebrating, right? They would be like celebrating and like, yeah, you do that. You go, girl. You know what I mean? Like, you do this thing where you dump your mortgage into a line of credit and put it, yeah, line of credit better than loan. You know what I mean? Like, you go ahead and do that and you pay us off quickly. And we get more interest, you know what I mean? And so they'd be like celebrating, like, of course you should do that, you know what I mean? But if you do a small chunk, let's say $10,000, okay, they would not like that because now you're saving $104,000 of interest. So when it comes to chunking, right? Like you can even use a 30% credit card, 30% credit card, and you'll beat out a first lien HELOC. Now, it doesn't mean the interest rate doesn't matter. Of course, you want the minimal interest rate, but it doesn't affect it as much as you think you would, right? What matters is this number, the cash flow number, okay? And this is going to be like your 30% credit card is going to be like your last resort, right? If you can't get another line of credit. But the thing is that when we're doing our mortgage, we got to do a chunk it down, split it into pieces, chop it up into pieces. We don't replace our mortgage with the line of credit. We use a line of credit to attack the mortgage, split it up into pieces, and make it easy to manage your cash flow, right? If we have to use a 30% credit card, that's the last resort. That's fine, right? No one's going to give you a $275,000 credit card. But what I'm saying is that if we decide to replace our mortgage with a line of credit, we're going to, and we don't consider the interest rate difference, we're going to pay much more than we have to. A lot of people don't understand that, right? So let me just try 10%, what a difference that makes. Like, let me just do 10%, okay? Because there's a lot of home equity lines of credit out there at 10%. Look at 61 grand. 61 grand at 10%, whereas I could have just gotten a second lien home equity line of credit, okay? I'm sorry, not 100,000. I got to take out one of the zeros. Home equity line of credit and only paid 16 grand, right? Like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to pay as much and we save time and effort and money into paying off our mortgage. So 3.5 years gone, boom, right? That's the lesson that we got to learn when we talk about mortgages. A lot of people, just velocity bankers, just kind of skip this. They just like, oh, line of credit good, loan bad. Well, we'll replace your loan with the line of credit. No, no, no. Do the math. That's the most important lesson, right? So now this is going to go to zero, okay? And now what's the debt payoff? So it's 45 divided by 12 plus 3 point, what is it? 3.5 years. 3.5 years. So it's 7.25 years. And we're debt free, debt free. Yeah, we got to celebrate, right? And so that's $518,000 of debt free. Let's go ahead and celebrate. I probably put that "Celebrate Good Times Come On" song, but I don't want to get copyright stricken. So just imagine that I'm playing that right now for you. Okay. But 7.25 debt free, 500, almost a $500,000 debt. Wow, that was so easy, right? That was so easy. So again, I'm pretty sure all of you understand the strategy, right? So don't do what most people do, where it's like, all right, I'm in cognitive dissonance mode, so I can't let myself um, get to the next level, even though I clearly understand what it is you're teaching. And the biggest, I know this may sound cliche, but the biggest roadblock to your success is actually yourself and your mindset. Even ChatGPT knows this, right? So you may be in denial, but ChatGPT, they feed it tons and tons of data, including probably human psychological studies, right? So they know what human beings do to themselves in order to prevent themselves from getting to the next level. They know what humans do, right? Okay, well, that's it for today, everybody. This is Creating Atlanta Mentorship. Have a great day, and let me know in the comments if you have an experience like this, where you try to explain to other people, like they clearly understand, and they just like stop themselves. Like, I'm going to stop myself from learning more and getting better, right? I'm going to stop myself. It's crazy, right? Happens all the time, much more common than you think it'd be. Okay, well, that's it for today, everybody. Have a great day, and we will speak next time.